Hello and welcome back to Warrington Basketball. Today we are joined by Rheanne Bailey, MMU's sports development, basketball development coach and officer, and Mystics player as well. Rheanne, how are you? You okay?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm good. Keeping busy.
Good. Obviously, with everything that's going on, I know you have been sort of in and out of different things, but if you can start by sort of introducing yourself and give us a bit about your background, please.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm this development officer for basketball at MMU. So I'm currently doing that. I'm very involved in raising the standards of basketball at MMU, but also in the Greater Manchester, the local Manchester community, and hopefully that will spill out to Greater Manchester. So we do a lot of outreach. So part of my job is setting up loads of community sessions and going out into schools, coaching the elite players, but also playing alongside them for the Mystics. And yeah, so that's kind of a bit about what I do, and I just try and help in any way possible to kind of raise awareness of basketball, raise the standards of the game, and get more people involved. Really, that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the Mystics. So at the Warrington Leagues, we're starting our own women's leagues. For those that don't know, obviously we've got a few players that we want to progress from. Obviously, we're local league, so we'd want to move on to the likes. Mystics, they play both Mabel as well as national leagues, isn't
it? So we play. I don't know if they've got a Mabel team. They've got national league teams throughout the junior ages, and then the Mystics team is WBBL.
Right. Yeah. And what's your involvement there? How did that come about?
It basically came about. So obviously I play basketball, and I played in Loughborough for the Leicester Riders, and Georgia Jones was playing for the Leicester Riders when I was playing, so we became really good friends. Yeah. I took a year out while she finished her last year in Loughborough. She came back home to Manchester, and then at that point, that was when Jeff became the head coach. So Jeff Jones became the head coach. George Jones was going to play for him, and she just gave me a call really and was like, "Rheanne, do you want to play for Manchester Mystics?" I was like, "Okay, why not?" So I just packed all my stuff and moved to Manchester, and then 4 years later, I'm still here.
Yeah.
So that's how it kind of came about. And I've just loved it here really, so I've kind of I've stayed.
Yeah. What tell us a bit about that league. How many teams are in your league? And
so in the WBBL there are 12 teams, 10 in England, 1 Cardiff, so in Wales, and 1 Caledonia Pride in Scotland. And basically, the 10 teams all across England, from Northumbria down to like Essex and Sussex. So, and it's really competitive, to be honest. The highest level for women's basketball in the UK, and it gets more competitive each year. And then I also think it's a great opportunity to develop British talent. Yeah. So there are rules in place where you're only allowed a certain amount of imports, and the rest have to be British players, because we want to be recognised as a league that develops British talent, but also keeps raising their standards of the league as well, because it is the professional league in the UK, so it's important that it looks like that.
Yeah, we've released a video with Nick Ibbison, and he actually mentions that you will make a very good coach. He thinks you're a really good communicator with the players, and you seem to have everyone really enthusiastic. Tell us a bit about your coaching side.
So I've started coaching like informally. I think if I really look at the beginning of my coaching journey, it probably started when I went to Loughborough. So I would go into some schools and just coach. I would coach on the development days. In the summer holidays, I would work on like kids camps. And not always basketball specific, and I think that really helps me because we coached hockey, lacrosse, tennis, badminton, loads of different sports, and actually you'd be surprised how many things you can take from other sports and apply it to basketball, like loads of little fun games and stuff like that. So that that really helped me develop. And I just think I gained a lot of confidence at coaching ages that a lot of coaches don't feel confident coaching. So kids that are 4 to 6 years old, how to keep their attention. I think I developed loads of skills that are helping me now. And as a player, I think I understand what makes a good coach.
Yeah.
And I just try and be that really. I think it's really important to just be consistent, to be yourself, communicate, try and communicate as clearly as possible. And you know what? I think a lot of coaches sometimes, if the players don't understand, they blame the players, you're not listening, get on the line. But actually, have you reflected? Is it the way that you're communicating with the players? You know what I mean? So I think I've just, along the journey of coaching, just picked up lots of great things. So I had some really good coaches, Jeff Jones, Matthew Harbour, my under-18s coach, Dave Lyon, my college coach, Andy Guppy. Just all of these, I got a lot from them. And I've taken the best bits and I've tried to kind of merge them together. I probably have my own bad habits, but on the most part, I've just tried to take the goodness of everybody that I've met along the way.
Yeah. From obviously the experience of all those different coaches then, and obviously seeing both sides of it, so the playing side as well as the coaching side, what do you think we need to be doing as a collective for sort of future progression in England basketball?
I definitely think to get basketball better, I think what I've seen a lot of coaches, especially at community level, we need to develop senior women players and senior men players. I think a lot of the time we get really bunged down in our age group, so we have to be the best at under 16s. But actually, we have to be undefeated at under 14s. Actually, that really doesn't matter, because any senior player, they're not going to look back on their journey and say, oh, when I was 14, I was undefeated. They're not going to put that on their basketball CV when they try and get a professional job. But it's really about preparing your players for the next level all the time, preparing them to make mistakes, and allowing them a safe environment to make those mistakes where they can learn from it. And also, I think adding decision making into your drills, so that you really want to create good basketball players and good people who know how to be great teammates, who know how to make decisions, and if they make mistakes, they can hold themselves accountable, and also they can self-correct. Players that are reflective, because all of those skills, if you're embedding it in under 14s, by the time they're a senior player, they're going to have an advanced level of decision making, an advanced level of being able to self-correct within the game. So as a coach, you then no longer need to use like a timeout or waste a timeout. So I think that's really a big thing, just the decision making of players and their ability to play freely. Like a lot of the kids that I've coached in the beginning, they don't want to make any mistakes. They want to do everything perfectly, but that's not the nature of basketball. It's so unpredictable that you kind of have to be prepared for the chaos of it. So definitely developing that. And I think speaking more specifically from the girls' side of it, the fundamentals. Actually, I say more specifically of the girls' side of it, the girls that I currently work with probably have better fundamentals than the boys that I work with. So definitely fundamental skills. We shouldn't be traveling as much as I see, or double dribbling, or like basic errors. So practicing fundamentals, then practicing fundamentals under pressure, and really embedding them into your practice, so that as they get older, those are unconscious and automatic skills.
I had a conversation the other week actually talking about the girls and fundamentals, and we were talking about how the girls seem to pick it up so much quicker and absorb information so much quicker than what the guys do.
Yeah, they do. I think from my experience coaching girls, women, we're very detailed. We like the details. And then we like to kind of nail those details down and build. And some of the boys that I coach, they like to work backwards. So they want to be able to do, fancy Euro step spin or whatever it is, And I try and say to them, yeah, that's amazing, but if you travel on your first dribble, you're not going to be able to get to show the rest. So yeah, it's definitely fun coaching. You don't know what each group is going to bring, or what day. You know, it's going to be a good day or a bad day.
So for those that are watching that are sort of starting out on their sort of journey, whether they be male or female, what would your advice be?
Just try loads of different things, try loads of new things. You can, like, something that I'm learning, I think I've put off for a very long time, is your biggest tool for learning is doing it. So you can't learn how to be a coach from the sideline. You have to be involved, you have to live that experience. And the biggest thing is that what I found is really there is no right or wrong answer. That's like a big thing that I've kind of found. And as long as you justify it, and if that's your style and it works for you and it works for your team, another coach or I might even do something completely different. But if it's working for you and it's working for your team, then it is right. And then I would say, if you feel like it isn't working for your team, have that confidence to change, to seek out other coaches and see how they coach, to be able to kind of like self-reflect, and even talk to your players and say, you know, what do you think went well that game? What do you think didn't go well that game? And you can develop your style and system together. Especially at a young age. I think players having input into their season is always a positive. So yeah, that's what I would say. Get involved, just do it.
Yeah, same question, but for the young coaches we've got coming through. So we get a few parents, or at our sort of level, obviously we're a local league, so we get coaches, or even sort of the older players that then want to go into coaching. What advice would you give for them? I
would say to them to learn the game, and especially if I don't know if you coach, especially if your coaches are coming at a community level, like younger ages, learn the game and just teach the basic fundamentals, especially at a youth age. You know, teach players all the different types of footwork, because the more skill, the more variety of movement you can teach, the more as they get older they're going to be able to execute, and the more movement patterns they're going to have in their toolbox. You know, if they can jab and crossover step, jab and lead step, if they can jump stop and, you know, jump stop, lead step, jump stop, all of those little skills I think sometimes go overlooked because they can be a little bit boring to teach. But try and embed those into everything that you do. Again, footwork into shooting, all of those things are really important. If you can't do those, it's probably unlikely you're going to make it to the senior level. And the higher you go up, the more those skills are going to be exposed. So I would say, like, learn the game, focus on that. If you can observe other people, like, for example, when I came to Manchester, I observed Joe Forber a lot. He's a very old school coach, but really fun. And the results of his coaching show, because he's had some girls from under 12s and they are top of the under 14 league, because their fundamentals are just much better than their competition. But then the biggest thing that I would say at any age group is to make it fun. So whatever you do, just make it fun, because people don't come to basketball to be shouted at, to be told they're not doing something right, or, you know, they come because they enjoy the game. So as a coach, really, and sometimes, you know, I have a bad day and the team's not doing what I want them to do, or how I wanted them to do it. But I have to understand that they've not come here for me to shout at them. They've also come here because they enjoy basketball. So just try and have that in the back of your mind. So like the games that I play with the MMU senior women's team are the same games that I play with Slam Jam kids. You know, to kind of get them started and get them going. So I incorporate a lot of fun games, lots of competition, so that practice can be fun and energetic.
Kate Lewis, I had a conversation with Kate Lewis the other day, and she was telling us about some of the work you've been doing with the protests recently and taking some of the Mystics girls down. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So obviously, with the death and the murder of George Floyd, a big movement was created. Black Lives Matter. I say created; it's been happening for a very long time, and it was just a bit of a catalyst. So, and then the protests in Piccadilly, where there was like 15,000 people, it was phenomenal. I'd said that I was going to go, and then a few of the Mystics players decided that they wanted to come too. So we all kind of went together, and it was just fantastic. I think I've never been part of anything kind of like that before, and I was really glad that I went. I think obviously it's a cause that's close to my heart. Being a Black female, it's really important that I kind of show solidarity with that movement and advocate for it, because it's gone on for too long, sort of like these systematic levels of racism and just unconscious biases that people have that can affect people of colour or people with lower class, people who are not top of the hierarchy, basically. So it's important that we kind of raise awareness of that. And then also that it's important to know that basketball, it happens within basketball. Coaches can say some things that play into racial stereotypes. For example, I'll give you a quick one. And I thought this, like when I was growing up, I definitely thought this, that players up north, they were really smart players. They were really smart teams, well organised, and they were majority white teams. But then when we went down south, we'd say, oh, they're bullies, they're rough, they're aggressive, and they were majority Black teams. And that was just a perception that probably a lot of people have and had, but what is that based on? And then also things like, Black players are way more athletic than white players. White players are better shooters than Black players, and those little unconscious biases. And I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm guilty of it too. Those unconscious biases can change the way we treat players. Mm-hmm. So it's just about, for me, it's just important to really raise awareness that it has to change. Every athlete should have an equal chance in our sport, especially because a large percentage, probably more than most other sports, maybe bar football, but maybe even more than, we have a really large BAME community in basketball. So it's important that it's a safe place for them to have fun and enjoy the game that we all love, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, Rheanne, you've been spoken very highly of by a few of the people we've spoken to in recent videos. We do appreciate you coming on. Anything else that you want to add, or feel that you?
No, just thank you for the invite. It's been really fun. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Once we get the Women's League up and running and we're actually back to it and allowed to go to the courts and do a bit, we'll be in touch. We'll try and get you involved.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to come down and see people. Just good luck with it all. And to everyone who's going to be participating, have fun. Hopefully the season goes ahead and you really enjoy it. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Rheanne.
What you're doing.
Appreciate it. We'll speak soon.
See ya.